Stitch Cuties, I'm Brittany with Stitches of Love Quilting, and in this video tutorial, I am going to walk you through the steps of making your Holly Gnome, which is your second block using your embroidery machine of your Christmas Gnomes block of the month. Now, I'm going to give you some tips in this that you can apply to all the future gnomes that you're going to make in this quilt. Let me go on and tell you what those are. So when it comes to double lining the pieces, you remember from the house last month that when it comes to the white pieces, there are 2 of each piece so that you double line it. The same thing is true with the peach pieces, which are the hands and the nose of your gnome. And it also is true of the white pieces for the beard. Now, what you'll notice is that the beard is actually a dot. So we give you 1 solid white piece and 1 dotted white piece. You're always going to put down that solid white piece first and the dotted piece on afterwards. And that's because we don't want to double line dots with dots because you'll see the dots through. So that's why we do a solid white and then the dot piece on top. We write that down in the pattern to remind you as well. So those are tips that you can apply throughout the entire process. As always, what I've done is read through the pattern and I see how my pieces are going to appear in the pattern. I've organized them into cute little piles on the side of how they're going to appear. And then I did the same thing with my thread. I took a look at the chart of how my thread is going to stitch and in what order, and I organized it over to the side on the right. So now we are ready to get started. We have our file loaded on the machine. And as always, you're going to want to lightly starch your fabric, your background fabric. You don't need to trim or cut it or anything. I've starched it. You're going to fold it in half one way and then again this way. And you'll notice because I've starched it, of course, it's no longer a perfectly cut square because of my starching. Don't worry about that. You're going to trim it, remember? So with the white thread on the machine, we are going to first have a little T stitched in the center, and we are going to align one corner up, and we are just going to unfold and unfold. There we go. And I give like just a little press right here from where I had it folded. And you can use your sew tights to secure your fabric in place, or you can use your transport tape. I don't know, today I feel like using the transport tape just to show you something different. Pretty sure last month I used my sew tights in the tutorial, so I'll just show you something different today. Any way that you want to secure your fabric is fine. When you put your sew tights on though, a line is going to stitch at the top and bottom, so you do want to put it right at the very edge of the fabric so you don't run into an issue of your hoop hitting your sew tight. Alrighty, so we're going to have white thread on through all of the steps of putting our applique pieces in place. So now we're ready to load this onto our machine and get going with our first step. Alrighty, so now we're going to put our first applique pieces in place. I am going to turn my hoop sideways just to fit on my Steady Betty. And you're always going to put your pieces down in numerical order. On this step, nothing is over and underlap, so it doesn't matter, but just it's always good to have that habit because on some steps, pieces do over and underlap, and in some blocks they do, some blocks they don't. So as always, your piece is a perfect fit. Just take your time, make sure you place it where it needs to be all the way around. There we go. It's looking good. So I'm going to start at one little point, and then I'm going to come over here and secure that. And then just work my way out, just trying to make sure I don't wiggle my little guy. There we go. So easy. And now we're going to put the little top of his hat on. These are the cutest prints in this quilt. There are a variety of fabrics from Riley Blake and just such cute colors. I love that the background of this quilt is blue. I don't know if I said that last month in the tutorial. If I say the same thing every time, I'm sorry, y'all. It's just what pops in my head. It's what I think about. Okay, so now we have this ironed on. I do want to tell you, you can go ahead and take off whatever you were using to hold your fabric in place. You can go ahead and remove it at this step because your fabric's not going to go anywhere now, right? We have these guidelines at the top and bottom. The guidelines are ultimately going to help you when you go to put your ruler in place and trim it. But again, always use a ruler when you are trimming. That's a good tip for everything in life, right? Measure twice, cut once. So now we'll continue on with the white thread for another round of applique outlines. Alrighty, let's do the next round of lines. Let's give our little gnome some hands. So again, this is where you're gonna have your double line pieces. So you have 2 of piece number 2. They are the pale pink color of fabric, and so they're solid. Both of them are solid, nothing to worry about in terms of one being dotted or not. When we get to the beard in just a second, I'll show you. I wiggled him And so I wiggled him out of place, you guys. I'm gonna put him back. There we go. You have like a second or two where you can like reposition if you need to, you know? And now we're gonna put the second little hand right on top. He is so cute, his little hands. Now, another set of hands for him. This little guy's not holding anything this month. He just has cute holly in his hair, but I'm pretty sure all the rest of the gnomes are holding something like a tree, a candy cane, a gift, a star. Is that all of them? Can't remember. It's so cute though. I really, really love this quilt. You know, I don't know if we have said this before in a video. Julie actually designed this quilt over a year before we launched it. And she had made it so big. And I was like, there's just no way to structure that and get it at a good price and all of that. And then, make it with less blocks and smaller. So we cut it from however many blocks down to, what do we have, 12 blocks? Or do we have 16? 12. It was a lot bigger before, and it was just not going to be manageable for everybody to get to make. So sometimes we have the best ideas of making a quilt, and it's so great, but then we have to make it reasonable. So we made it smaller. The blocks didn't get smaller, just the number of blocks got smaller. I personally think it's cuter, smaller, more usable, you know. Alrighty, so that is the solid white that I put down first. Now we're gonna put the super cute, can you see on the camera? Little dapple dotted piece. And that is what goes on next. It's just a subtle dot, nothing overpowering, but you wanna make sure the white is on top, right? If you put that underneath, you wouldn't see your dots. That would be a waste of the dotted fabric. And now we have one more piece of our hat. So the next 3 steps of our applique placement lines, it's only gonna be one piece per placement. So I'll show you that just so you can see the process, but know that it's gonna be really quick, okay? So this is what your hoop looks like so far. So let's keep going. Okay, like I said, for the next few steps, it's just one piece at a time, but that's because it's all building on itself. And I wanted to make sure you got the full outline because you don't want to have wonky striped hat. That wouldn't be good. Okay, so continue on for another round. All right, so another step of just one piece. Look at this cute little holly berry print. I love it. I really like the last piece we put on, that gingham. So perfect for a Christmas quilt. Alrighty, so give it a press and let's do another step. Alrighty, so another step of just one piece. This is another cute print, actually matches his little body. So there we go, get your piece in place and press it down. There you go. Awesome, so now we're gonna continue on for our next round of applique outlines. Alrighty, so let's give our guy a mustache. Again, we have a dotted and a solid piece. We're gonna put that solid piece down first. You'll do that every month of the gnomes. You'll always put the solid white down first. There we go. And now our little dotted mustache right on top. I just love little gnomes. I don't get tired of them. I think they're so cute. There's some people don't like gnomes. I don't understand why. I think they're adorable. But then again, I don't like clowns and some people love clowns. So everybody has their own thing, right? Well, these are not like clowns, but you know. So now we're gonna put piece number 12, which is one of our cute little holly leaves. And just put that right in place. You wanna make sure all your little points line up. And press. So we'll continue on for our next round of applique outlines. Alrighty, let's iron on another little nose. Not another, the only nose. And then another piece of holly. So a nose has 2 pieces. Double lining it, it's a solid pale pink. So it doesn't matter which one of the 2 pieces you put down first. There we go. Cute. And now our leaf, and I have to show you what I did on my little leaf. See how I have 2 little arrows? If you look at your placement guide, this is a tip really for any piece that's kind of like directional. It's very similar either way it goes, right? So once you figure it out on your placement guide, flip it immediately over and give yourself arrows up. And so that just makes it so easy in your life. That's really handy to apply to like flowers and things like that, any kind of pieces. But when I was doing labeling my pieces, I was like, you know, I'm gonna give myself a little arrow right here. Why not? keep life easy. So that's a little tip that you can apply to any project, whether it's already cut out for you or if you're actually tracing and cutting it out, just to give yourself a little direction. All right, so we have one more applique outline to go. Alrighty, so we have a little holly berry to put in place. And so for the next steps on your machine, you're simply going to follow the thread color chart, and you are going to change your threads according to how they appear on the chart and the machine. So the first color is white, so there's no color change there. You've been working with white. But I am going to not take my hoop on and off for every step, because your machine and my machine are going to do the exact same thing, and you just get to watch it stitch, right? So use the chart. We are going to start with white that we already have. It's going to be our bearded mustache. Then we're going to load true red. It's going to stitch all the red pieces. Then we're going to load 1019 peach. It's going to do the hand and nose. And then the sweet pink is going to do the pink pieces, and we'll end with the holly. So we'll group back at the end, but right now, enjoy watching your machine stitch your super cute little gnome. Alrighty, let's take a look at our gnome stitched. The stitches are just perfection. Don't you just have so much fun watching your machine do that? It doesn't get old. Years and years into it, and I just love watching the machine stitch all of these beautiful stitches for us. So now, if you have any threads that you need to trim, I see there's one where I held the thread, I didn't trim it. You'll want to do that, and you'll want to remove all of your stabilizer. I am going to give you a tip for trimming. So even after you remove your stabilizer and you put this on your placement guide on a light pad, you're not going to be able to see through this dark denim cross stitch fabric, right? It's called, the design is called cross stitch, by the way. And my tip for handling that is take your ruler. Let me move this. Sorry, I have like a space issue in the camera. Give myself some space to work. Take your placement guide and put your quick cuts ruler, that's the 10.5 inch, and you're gonna line it up with the lines, and you're gonna get this just in place. Doot, 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 doot. And what I like to do, there we go, that looks perfect. I take a little bit of my tape, my 3M transport tape, and I'm gonna give myself a couple little guidelines to mark. So where's the end of my tape? Here it is. What I'm gonna do is just tear kind of a long piece. I'm gonna tear it in half. That's what I love about this tape. You can tear it in half. And I'm gonna do one against the angle over here. I'm gonna do another one starting on top of the holly, angled right up against the hat. I'm gonna give myself one little bit across the top of the hat, just like so. And I'm gonna do, down here, it's 1/2 inch above the bottom. So I can see that I have a 1/2 inch line. The lines on this, by the way, are little dots, not this solid line. So you wanna do this little 1/2 inch line is the little dotted line. But I'm gonna go on and mark right by where my hands are. Just giving myself some guides, and they're removable guides. So as soon as I trim this, I can take these little pieces of tape off my ruler, and there was no harm. No harm was done to my ruler, right? If you don't get your piece of tape in place just right, just pick it up, wiggle it over. There we go. So now I have some guidelines to work with, right? So when I go to trim this block, let's put it down in front of me. See how easy this is. First off, we have our top and bottom line to line up with. And so now, basically, these lines are gonna help us get the ruler widthwise in place, right? So up next to the hands, we have the top of the hat, left and right side of the hat. We know that these are the lines by the hands. I'm at the bottom seam line, I'm at the top seam line. So now, with just a little bit of tape on my ruler with my placement guide, I know that I'm in perfect position to trim my block. So that is my tip, not just for Christmas gnomes, but anytime you're working on trimming a block that is on a dark colored fabric, or even with the best light box in the world, you're not gonna be able to see through the fabric. So that's my tip for trimming. So I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial. I am not going to do a tutorial for every single gnome because the principle is the same on all of them, right? All of your pieces are numbered. Your pattern and your machine are going to walk you through all of the steps. As always, pay attention and make sure you put the dotted white fabric on top of the white fabric. And in the pattern, we put a note next to every step where a double line fabric or a dotted double line fabric appear. And always put your pieces down in numerical order, in the order in which they appear in the pattern. So if you apply those tips, you will be good to go on making all of your gnomes. If you have any questions throughout making this super cute quilt, do not hesitate to reach out to us. You can email us at orders@stitchesoflovequilting.com, or simply go to our website, stitchesoflovequilting.com, click on support and submit a ticket. It goes right through to our team and they will answer all of your questions. And if they don't know the answer right away, they're going to get me, and myself and Julie will answer your question for you. But they pretty much always know the answer, so you're good. Alrighty, if y'all have any questions, again, reach out. And as always, happy stitching.